What were the legislators getting at when they drafted these bills? So one of the largest collections that we have here at the Illinois State Archives is the House and Senate bill files from the Illinois General Assembly, and they comprise over 5,000 square feet. And they get a lot of research from legislative staff, lawyers, historians, and the general public. And what they're interested in is legislative intent. What do they mean by that? Well, what they're looking for is what were the legislators getting at when they drafted these bills. So we'll take a look at 3 different bill files from the years to give you an illustration that when you go back in time, the less kind of materials you'll expect in these files. This first bill file we'll start with is from 1819, and it's from the very first General Assembly biennial session. And this is an act for the relief of Dunkards, Quakers, and other religious persons conscientiously scrupulous of bearing arms. As you can see, there's just not much material in these early bill files. Basically, it's the bill file as it probably made its way through. There are no amendments. There's no engrossed versions or anything like that. It's all very just basic, and that's probably because back in those days, they disposed of any extraneous material. For the second bill we'll look at, it is from 1877, and this is called an act entitled regarding the cultivation and protection of food, fishes, and the restocking of the public waters of the state of Illinois. So even just a few decades later, you can see that there's some more material involved that you can research to find legislative intent. We have some slips of paper that deal with amendments, various amendments that were adopted or tabled. It looks like here that they have an introduced version as well as what may be the engrossed version that includes the amendments. And so already by the 1870s, you've got a little more to work with when they're trying to figure out what they were intending when they wrote this law. This third bill we're looking at is from 1977, and it's regarding the renaming of the Department of Mines and Minerals, which is typical for governors when they come into office. They like to reorganize departments and rename them. And as you can see, there's considerable more material to work with in your research. You've got some committee notes and history that deals with the different dates, basically kind of a chronological history of what the committee did with this bill file. There's what they call the committee action report, which is a committee votes on whether to say yes or no. There's also a record of committee witnesses, what their names were, the addresses, what organization that they represent, and whether they're a proponent or an opponent of this bill. And there's some various other sundry materials in here, just better organized in terms of your amendments. This particular one was withdrawn, so that may give some researchers a clue on what their intent was. And there's also an amendment in here that was adopted. So again, that gives some researchers some clues. As well, there's the introduced version with the amendments. In this case, House Amendment 1 was adopted. And here's the engrossed version that's marked up where the inserted other kinds of amendments. In this case, it was a conference committee report because the House and Senate could not agree on the language of this bill. So they convened a conference committee, and they had to hammer out language that they could all agree to. And last but not least is the enrolled version. Basically, this is what they agreed to before it became law. So that's sort of a brief overview of House and Senate bill files. Hope this helps you get a little more of an idea about what to expect when you're researching these important legal files.